Hey there guys, it's Liz here, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my top 4 tips that myself and my clients use to fight the temptation of junk food. How many of you guys feel like junk food derails you, right? Like you can be doing really good and all of a sudden you see the baked goods or whatever in the break room and it's like all bets are off. Or Halloween comes around, oh my gosh, like in a month, Halloween's gonna be here and you're gonna be fighting the temptations of Halloween candy everywhere. Like how do you break through that, right? So I wanna share with you guys my top 4 tips that we absolutely emphasize in the 7-day reset in addition to many other things, but I wanna give you guys a little sneak peek of the type of stuff that we use and we discuss and learn in the 7-day reset in order to be able to break through a lot of the mindset crap that keeps you from being able to stick to a plan, right? So do me a favor, and as you guys are watching this, put in the comments, what is your biggest junk food temptation? Like for me, baked goods, I can't keep them in the house. Cookies, anything with peanut butter or chocolate, to be totally honest. Oh my God, peanut butter eggs around Easter time. If my husband brings home sticky buns that his mom brings him from, down at the shore, like all bets are off. And I'm gonna give you my top tips to help you understand how I fight through that. Because yes, they will still be in my house. So 4 tips here. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. If you got one, write this down. Because number 1, and I know this seems super simple and you guys are probably gonna sit there for at least half of you and say, well, this isn't an option for me, but this is where to start. You don't wanna bring it in the house. You don't wanna have it in the house, right? So do as best as you can to not bring those foods in your house. And as a parent or as a spouse, you can say like, I'm not allowing them in my house. We are not bringing that in my house, or have a conversation like I do with my husband about, okay, if you're gonna bring in these sticky buns that your mom gave you, we need to have some type of system where they are not in my reach, I don't see them, and that's what we do. So I'm gonna get to that in a second. First, I wanna say, take as much responsibility and ownership as you can to not have those foods or beverages in your house. And I've said this before and I'll say it again, food is addictive. So just like an alcoholic may say, I do not allow alcohol in my house, if you're a food addict, which most of us are in one way or another, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, you can say, I will not allow this in my home. Or you go to step 2 and you have some type of system for if it is in your house. Because let's be real, my husband is 30 years old, he is a big boy, and if he still wants to have certain foods in the house, we may fight over it, right? You may experience some resistance from other people in your home when you say, no, that's not coming in my house. So what do you do if not bringing it in your house isn't an option for you? What I do, if my husband brings home these sticky buns, which we just got a whole 2 more boxes yesterday that my mother-in-law dropped off, we put them in a separate shelf of the pantry that I know I can't go into and don't need to go into. So we have a pantry that has 2 doors. So the top part has a couple of shelves and the bottom part has like 5 shelves, and I keep all of my stuff in the bottom part with the 5 shelves, and I only need to open that bottom door. So he will keep all of his stuff, any type of junk food, anything that I'm not supposed to have, is up on those top 2-3 shelves, and I don't need to go into the top part of the pantry because I know if there's anything in that top part that I need to get to, I'm gonna be faced with the other foods that are staring at me, staring me down, talking to me, saying, frickin' eat me, right? I know you guys, anybody else feel like it's literally just like, it's impossible to not look at it. Like you have to see it. So I would suggest putting it in a place that you can't see it. It may not even be in the same pantry. It may be in, honestly, I have had some people put it in like a separate part of the laundry room in their house, in a private cabinet that has sticky notes all over it saying you can't go in here, and that'll be number 3. I'll talk to you guys about that, but put it in an area of your house that you don't have to go to or that you don't have to see, all right? And then you have your third part of defense. This is your barriers of entry. So, guys, these are the systems you got to put into place sometimes. Don't feel silly. Don't feel weak. This is just the crap that you need to do. You need to set up the systems that you need to in order to keep you from having the things that aren't serving or fueling your body at all. So what are some of the things that you can do? Not only just putting it in a place that you don't need to go to, but you can also put sticky notes, pictures, messages to yourself on the cabinet or the box or whatever holds those foods. So different sticky notes saying, you don't need to eat this. This is not for you. Your body deserves more. Like, you don't have to make it sound negative. Like, oh, you don't deserve this. Oh, like, you don't need to eat this. It can be, my body deserves the best thing that needs to fuel it. And I am not going to stoop to the level of feeding it anything less than it deserves. Anything you want, guys. And you can write affirmations of that, like, I am beautiful and I don't need food to, define me or to make me feel good. Okay, so just anything that you want, get creative and put it on a sticky note. Another thing could be putting sticky notes on top of the food that is inside of the box. I have a client where her thing was like tasty cakes and she had them in the house for her son. So we had sticky notes on the outside of the cabinet. We had it on the front of the box of tasty cakes, and we put sticky notes on every tasty cake on the inside, because sometimes you need more barriers of entry. It's not enough to just be like, oh, it's in that cabinet that I shouldn't go into. Like, if you are an emotional eater, sometimes that's not enough, right? So you have to have these barriers of entry there. And then last but not least, this is something that we just started talking more about in the 7-Day Reset group, is we trash talk our food. I was the first one to say something about it in the 7-Day Reset group, and then I had a bunch of members start commenting being like, oh my God, I do that too, or this is what I do. So I literally will sit there and look at the sticky buns that Mike brings into the house, and I'll say, these are literally made of butter and gluten and a bunch of stuff that is not serving me. Alyssa, you are gonna feel like crap. It does no good to you. You know that one exposure to the gluten and to the dairy can set off a cascade of inflammation for up to 6 months in your body. Like, I get all sciencey with myself because I know the science. A lot of you guys couldn't give two craps about that. So you may sit there and say, like my one client, Sarah, would say, I know she wouldn't mind me sharing this, she could look at stuff that's maybe in the break room at work and be like, I have no idea who touched that. Guarantee they coughed on their hand or sneezed on it before they go and touch it. So I'm not touching the cupcakes sitting here, or I'm not grabbing, a handful of M&Ms out of the candy dish. Anything that is out there, like she won't. And you can say the same thing about certain parties that you go to, even if they're family parties. Like, you don't know who cooked it and didn't wash their hands. Like, you can do anything to talk yourself out of not eating that stuff. I love pizza. How do I talk myself out of not getting Domino's, even though it's gluten-free pizza right now? One, I really shouldn't have cheese. Two, I know there's a crap ton of fake ingredients and GMOs in that pizza. It's not organic at all. And so I do whatever I need to do to talk myself out of it. So I want you guys to start and think, what grosses you out? What creeps you out? What matters to you? It could be germs. It could be the fact that you're not going to be able to have as much energy. Your libido is going to suck. You're going to feel frumpy and fluffy and feel like you have a gut hangover the next day. There are so many different ways that you can talk yourself out of going and having junk food. But in summary, don't bring it in the house. If you can't do anything about bringing it in the house because your kids or your spouse will not let you hear the end of it, put it in a spot where you're not going to see it. Put sticky notes and anything you need to remind yourself on that food that you don't eat it, just in case you need to go and take a little sneak peek at it. You got a visual reminder of why it's not necessary. And then last but not least, literally trash talk the food. Talk yourself out of it. Tell yourself all the horrible things that are probably in it. And if you need even more ammo, the 7-Day Reset is a wonderful thing for you to figure out how you can have more of these mindset hacks so that you can break through the things that are keeping you from achieving the results you deserve and staying compliant to your plan. So hope this helped you guys out. Drop your biggest nugget below and what you're going to implement this week, and I will see you guys next time. Mwah!